into kind of big picture here, I mentioned, we have the saying, you don't want to miss the forest for the trees. And of course, there's family trees. And if a tree falls in a forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Why trees? What is it about trees, and what drew both of you specifically to this being the epicenter of having this conversation? It's not lost on me that there's all sorts of spiritual inspiration to be found across the natural world, and of course, marvels of science that we can find, and all sorts of different things. And of course, not to diminish those lessons either, but why trees?
I grew up loving trees, and I often say because I grew up in Kansas, there were so few that I had to really love the ones that I was with, you know? So, but it has been from childhood. I am fascinated by trees. I have always been one of those people. If you're driving down the road with me in the autumn or the spring, I might call out in the middle of a lovely story you're telling me, oh, but wait, look, you've got to see that tree. So they speak to me and always have. So it for me, it's not that I don't love water. It's not that I'm not fascinated with soil and this incredible web. It's not that I don't think our clouds are amazing. Trees are just the ones that talk to me. So Beth.
Well, I didn't I grew up in Kansas. I grew up not too far from here where we do have a lot of trees. But for me, trees as a kid were a real source of freedom. I mean, it was climbing a tree lets you get really, really big and really tall and be able to see. So it was very personal, and it was very much about, my desire to sort of get away from the noise of a big family and so forth, and just climb and reach and see. And then, of course, I went to forestry school and continued my love affair with trees. And then each of us have had some pretty important experiences with the sequoias, I think, and other really big, really big trees that at least humbled me and gave me a sense of my place in the world and made me feel safe, that I didn't have to be so big. You can't tell from here, but I'm a very tall person, notwithstanding my desire to get taller in the trees.
And you can't tell from here, I'm not.
Maybe that's the affinity with trees, is they were tall. But also, as I began leading these programs through the Center for Spirituality and Nature, I noticed not only I was drawn to the trees, but those who were with me were drawn to the trees. There's something about trees. And as we talked before, we each have history with trees, whether we remember it consciously or not. And I watched as people responded, and we haven't talked yet too much about what the wisdom of trees is in regard to resilience and adaptation, but we talk about that in the book. I watched, people who had difficulty, real difficulties in life, and, watch a tree that had just grown completely sideways and then down and then finally found the light.
Yeah.
There's inspiration and that tree that's, holding on to dear life in the middle of a stream with its roots. There's people, I think, see their own stories in the stories of trees. So not only was I interested in trees from my personal experience, but just watching the experiences of others and seeing how moved they were. And then I guess finally I would just say it was particularly fun for me, and I think I speak for Leah here, to really dig into a part of the ecosystem and really to get to know it and to help others get to know it. I've done some work with water and some other and national parks and some other things, and it was just very interesting to learn and remember, and, as I said, dig into the science of a particular aspect that was so that we could learn more about the whole by learning about this part of it.
Also, what's so fascinating to me was really understanding forests and how forests really shape life on Earth. I mean, they are amazing in the water cycle, the carbon cycle, the purification of the air, the building of soil. They hold such an important place in Earth's dynamic life, and that just can't be overemphasized in terms of how much gratitude and how much care we need to have for the forests of the world. They are so important
Mm.
to life writ large. I think we think of life within the forest, and I'm speaking of the life that exudes out beyond that particular geographic place that we might call a forest because of its interconnectedness with water and sky and
This
Yeah.
harkens
airflow.
back to something you were asking about earlier, Reese, how we collaborated in this, but routinely over the course of writing this book together, Leah, don't forget the forests.
I love
So
that.
her insistence, it's not too too strong of a word, that we think not only about trees and the forest, but their impact on the earth itself was
Mm.
was a real contribution that Leah made to the book.
I love that. I do think there is something so beautiful about just kind of like the imagery of trees and how that really is so reflective of like the human body, and trees are mediators in a very similar way to humans, right? That they have roots grounding into the ground and branches reaching up into the sky. Our feet are walking right at the divide between earth and sky. And um, there's the tree of life, and in Jewish mysticism, like the imagery is all around the tree, and just all sorts of things. The tree rings and how much trees grow in a year, transpiration, water moving against gravity. It's like there is so much we could get into here. And of course, there's only so much time in a day. And there is a beautiful book that has already been written for readers and listeners and watchers to go down into the description and check out.